Okay, let's go through a voice recording that should help you out with your mice lab on how to analyze the stats that you've put in. So what I've done is I've thrown in some basic raw numbers here. I just kind of made up just so I could show you this tutorial. Male, female, category titles, just so that you know what numbers you're analyzing. I just threw some numbers in here. So we have 14 different individuals for males and 14 different individuals for females. So all this is going to be about how to graph, how to run an F-test and a T-test. So let's talk about how to do the stats. So when you come on into Excel and you've loaded in your numbers, you might be on a home screen, right? You might be on a home screen, which looks like this as far as the tab goes. You need to click on the Data tab. If you do not have this over here where it says Data Analysis Tools, then you need to load it. Loading is fairly easy. Click on File, come down here to Options. This screen will pull up. You put Add-ins. Click on Add-ins. It should have Analysis Tool Pack. Right, so that's what we want to load in. And don't hit OK. We want to hit Go. This pops up, and you can see I already have it checked here, but you're going to check that and then press OK, and it'll load in your data analysis. Now, the data analysis will have the different tests that you want to run. One is you're going to test to see if the variance, which meaning the degree of variability in your data set, if they're actually equal, because you're analyzing two different data sets. We want to make sure that how much they waver from the median, if it's equal in both populations. So first thing we're going to run is an F-test to test a variance. So we click OK, and it says, okay, put in your variable range for 1. So I'm going to highlight, as it already kind of shows here, I'm going to highlight this. And then for variable range 2, I'm going to delete that out, and I'm going to put in the female set. And then all we have to do is push OK. When it pops up, you should have some analysis numbers here. The one that we're really going to look at is the p-value, and the p-value is seeing here. Let me show you real quick. The p-value for the F-test, what we're looking for a p-value, we don't know. If that p-value is less than our 0.05, we're going to assume that the variance is not equal. So let's look back at our number. You can see that our p-value is actually above that, so our variance is equal. So that'll allow us to do the next test. And the next test we want to run is a t-test to see if these two populations are actually away from each other. Remember that your null hypothesis states that the two groups that you're comparing are equal. So we're going to analyze whether or not they're unequal. So we're going to come down here, and now here's our two samples t-test. Do we assume equal variance or unequal variance? The F-test told us that we want it to be equal variance. So you click OK. We have to put in our value for range 1, so we're going to put in the male again. We're going to click on value range for 2 and do the female. Remember, do not do letters, right? No letters. If your numbers have letters on here, it's going to throw back a whole bunch of garbage that you don't want. So make sure that you have solid numbers. They can have decimal points in them, but don't put any words in this. We have the hypothesized mean difference, and we have the alpha levels in here. So all we're going to have to do is run through mean differences. We want to pop in as 0, and we're going to put, because of the null hypothesis, we don't want any difference between the two populations. And it's going to kick out a number for us. So the two numbers that we're going to look at is this one up here, the t-stat, and the t-critical. So the way that we're going to analyze then is this, a t-test. The t-stat, if it's less than the negative t-critical, so let's look at our numbers again. Our t-stat in this one is 5.74. Let's write this in. 5.74. And our negative t-critical is 2.05. So we're going to make that a negative number. So our t-critical is 2.05. So for the first one, we're going to make it a negative. So we're saying if our t-stat is less than the negative t-critical, which this is not the case, so we right? Or if our t-stat is greater than just the regular t-critical, so that'd be 5.74. If that's greater than the regular t-critical, which is 2.05, then what does it say? Oh, winner, right? We're going to reject the null hypothesis. Remember that your null hypothesis states that population 1, so it might be female control, is equal to female selected. If this is true, this is our hypothesis, null, right? If this is the case, then we are going to reject the null hypothesis. So in this scenario that I've just thrown out at you, we're going to reject the null hypothesis. The other thing that you need to look at as far as graphing and stuff goes, we have to throw in some graphing components for our lab. So remember that when you're graphing, we're going to insert, this goes back to one of the ones that we were doing with the sedges, scatter. Click on scatter real quick. We're going to do a scatter plot. And it says blank chart here. We're going to highlight what we want to put in. Let's do populations, right? It should kick in here in a second. Okay, recatch up here. Let's look at how we can do a scatter plot for multiple groups. This is kind of a review from what we were working with ImageJ and the Perigynia and being able to do different morphological traits earlier in sedges. So here, if we want to do a scatter plot comparing male to female, here's one of the options that you could do. You can highlight all the male ones. So what I've done is I've just copied and pasted this stuff that we run in the Ftest and Ttest down here, and then I just numbered all the individuals. So 1 through 14 are going to be my males, 15 through 28 are going to be my females. So I highlight individual 1, length 11, right? And then I'm going to insert using a scatter plot, do a scatter, and there it pops up all the stuff that I need. Now the problem is it's not labeled and it has no entry of what I'm talking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our data here. We're going to edit our series. So let's make this series, make sure it says male, and we'll say femur. So we're looking at femurs here. And now we have our scatter plot will have that male femur, if you can see that. I also want to add in another data set. So we'll call this female femur. And I'm going to highlight the X values, so 15 through 28. And I'm going to highlight my Y values. Now the thing is there's something in there right now, so I'm going to delete that out. And I'm going to highlight my Y values. And then I'm going to hit OK. And then once that's in, you can see there's male and female femur in here as well. You can do male control, male selected, female control, female selected if you're doing 4 different groups. Do it the exact same way that this is shown, and then you should end up seeing a beautiful scatter plot showing you how the male group compares to the female group. You can also do this if you want to do it as an overlay where you do individuals 1 through 14. We could go back in here, do this real quick, and I'm going to edit the female one. And instead of using my X values of 15 through 28, if I wanted to overlay them, I could actually do this and go 1 through 14, and now you can see the overview, or the overlay I should say, of 1 through 14 and 1 through 14, so you can actually see that the males are showing a little bit higher than the females. So that's an easy way to show some graph capabilities that are good for your analysis. Even if you're not doing a trend where you see lines, we can definitely pull out some fantastic information in groupings through a scatter plot. So now you have your F-test understanding, you have your T-test understanding, and you have your graphing option understanding. All these pieces are cool data analysis pieces that it can be used in order for you to work through the stuff that you need to work through. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, follow your protocol, email your teacher, and good luck.